Welcome to Ink and Fitness. For those who are new to my channel, my name is Anthony. I am someone who went from skinny to fit, and these videos are purely educational. So this way, if you guys are also on the skinnier side of things, you can take what you're learning inside of these videos, implement them, be consistent with them above all, and see your own results. For those that are interested in one-to-one coaching, the link for that will be down below in the description. So feel free to check that out. But let's get straight into the video for today, where we're going to be talking about how to gain muscle mass fast, quote unquote, as a skinny guy. So these are likely the mistakes that's costing you to essentially build muscle a lot slower, progress a lot slower in general. And so these are costing you not only a lot of gains, but a lot of years in progression, to be honest, because it's what some of these things, I'd say most of these things actually, cost me years of progress, years of growth that I could have had up until this point. But since I was making the mistakes, since I was doing things incorrectly, here I am now, right? But with everything, you need to make mistakes to learn. You need to make mistakes to grow. So I'm sharing these mistakes with you guys so that way you don't have to go through that sort of trial and error process, right? You guys can actually avoid these mistakes if you are listening and implementing these tips and advice that I'm sharing with you inside of these videos. So let's just kind of go down the list one by one here. So these are likely some of the mistakes that you're making yourself. So these are some of the mistakes that I've personally made. First one is just not eating enough. So you keep saying, I have a fast metabolism. No such thing as a fast metabolism. You're just not eating enough. Maybe you're not training hard enough. You're doing too much in your lifting. So maybe you're doing like crazy exercises, probably doing more than 6 exercises per training session, or maybe you're just doing, these abnormal exercises that you don't need to be doing instead of just sticking to the basics. You have no solid workout plan, either that or you hop from workout plan to workout plan. You're not getting enough rest and recovery. You're just kind of going through the motion of your eating, your training, your rest and recovery. And most importantly, you're not tracking anything at all, which is a big, big mistake a lot of people make inside of the gym. So, to kick things off, dialing in your eating. So if you want to, start gaining muscle mass fast, quote unquote, as a skinny guy, and the reason I have, fast, quote unquote, is because you're not going to gain muscle the next night or the next week or even the next month, right? Um, all in all, it does take time and effort, and you will gain muscle mass fast, right? Opposed to if you were to, you know, do make these mistakes right here, right? And it's going to cost you years of progression and growth. So if you listen to this advice, these tips that I'm going to give you now, you're going to avoid essentially making years worth of mistakes, right? And so that's why I say this is how you're going to gain muscle mass fast. So instead of going through the trial and error process of years on end of trying to figure this out, you can just do the things that I'm sharing with you now for months on end, years on end, if you are looking to make fitness part of your lifestyle. And you'll see really great, significant results for yourself as long as you're being consistent with everything that I'll be sharing with you today. So the first thing is just dialing in your eating. You want to calculate your maintenance calories first. The easiest way to honestly just do it is just to go to a macro calculator on Google. So if you type in macro calculator, hit the search button, it'll be the first link that pops up. And you click on it, input your information. I think it asks for your height, your weight, your activity level, your age. I think that might be it. And then it'll spit out a number at you, and that number is a rough estimation of your maintenance calories. So let's say, for example, your maintenance calories is 2,700. You're either going to add 300 or 500 calories on top of that, so that way you can be in a maintenance. So in this example, 2,700 is our maintenance. You add on 300 to it, and 3,000 calories would be our surplus calories. What we eat what we eat above our maintenance. Or sorry, no, not what we eat above our maintenance, but it's just going to be our surplus calories because we're eating 300 above our maintenance. So continuing on, make sure to use MyFitnessPal to track your eating. It's a fantastic app to use. I use it all the time. Every now and then I still use it because I'm not so die hard on tracking my calories at this point, just because I know visually how much of something is something, thanks to me tracking consistently back then, after learning the mistakes that I've made, learning from the mistakes that I've made. So make sure if you're someone who's newer to the gym who has no idea how much of amount of something is in something in terms of calories and macros, track it, track everything, right? Scratch what I said before. If you're just a beginner or if you're just like a semi-intermediate lifter, I would still track everything. So that way you have a clear idea and you mentally get used to seeing how much of something is in something in terms of calories and macros for each single food item. Maybe not each single food item, but each single food item that you eat on a day-to-day basis. So use MyFitnessPal to track your eating. You want to make sure you're hitting your calorie goals and your daily protein goals because that is just as important as hitting your calorie goals. If you don't have enough protein in your diet, then how are you going to repair and rebuild your muscle after a hard training session? You can't. You'll get minimal results, but it's not going to be the results that you want to be seeing if you were to hit your protein goals on a day-to-day basis consistently. Don't be afraid of liquid calories either. Protein shakes are your best friend. If you have the budget for it, of course, you don't need it, but if you have it, it really does help out. Just meet your protein goals for the day. If you're looking for protein shake recipes, I recommend looking some up online. Literally, if you just type in protein shake recipes on Google, it'll spit out a bunch of options for you, a bunch of websites to visit, and find the best one that would, that sounds appetizing for you or that you feel like you would enjoy eating. Plus, liquid calories are super easy to, take down. It's very enjoyable. And, who doesn't like an easy cleanup, an easy takedown of, a certain food item? Some of them, just so you know, can be up towards 1,000 calories, which is crazy. But it is very true. And it'll leave you satiated and full as well for probably like a good hour or two. So consider adding that to your everyday eating. Obviously, don't make it, you know, don't make protein shakes 3 times a day. Um, that would not be fun. That would not feel good for your stomach either. So a once a day is perfectly fine, but anything more than that is just overdoing it a little bit. And plus, you'll have to buy more protein powder, which means you have to, spend more money on that. Don't be afraid to eat fast food. Don't overdo it though. It's so easy to binge eat fast food, your favorite foods. So be disciplined with it. Be not strict with it because I never like to be strict with anything just because it does, in my opinion at least, set up um, an unhealthy relationship with food. So don't be so strict, but also do not overdo it. Find that medium where you can, essentially implement your favorite foods, um, and not eat thousands of calories above your maintenance. So every now and then it's just fine. If you feel like you're bored of a certain meal, then I would just switch it out for your favorite fast food item and you'll be good to go, right? Easy as that. Weigh yourself once per week just so that way you get to see if you're making progress, right? Are you gaining weight? Are you losing weight for whatever reason? Or are you just staying the same in weight? And you will find that throughout your bulking phase, you're gonna plateau a couple times, a couple different times. I don't know when exactly you'll plateau, just because everyone's body is different and responds differently when you start consuming a certain amount of calories. But when you do plateau, I know for a fact it will happen. It happens to everyone. You plateau in weight eventually in your bulking phase, some sooner than later. But once you do plateau, that's when you'll have to add 300 to 500 more additional calories to what you're already eating. So essentially, you'll just repeat this entire process throughout your bulking phase whenever you hit those plateaus. Now, as far as your training goes, drop the sets from 4 or 5 to just 2 sets. More does not always equal better. I know there's a lot of big misconceptions about that, right? A lot of people think that you need to do 4 or 5 sets of something to be crazy big, right? Or 4 to 5 sets of every exercise to be crazy big because they see their favorite bodybuilder, their fitness coach, or a fitness influencer doing these, super intense workouts by doing super high volume. Fact of the matter is, some of those guys, not all of them, I will say that, not all of them, some of them are on some sort of performance enhancing drug that allows for them to do these crazy feats, right? Doing such high volume and being able to recover quickly. That's what steroids do to you. They allow for you to recover quickly so that way you can train super hard for super long with these mass amounts of high volume workouts. So um, don't be fooled. You're not, I mean, unless you are taking steroids, then go ahead and do that. But I'm assuming most people that are watching my videos are not, right? They're natural lifters. So just take 2 sets till failure. That's really all you need. By training with a lot of intensity, we get the most out of our workouts. We push ourselves hard. We toast our muscles, which means more gains for us if we have our rest and eating dialed in. And getting your rest and eating dialed in is just as important as getting your training dialed in. Because if you have your training dialed in, where you're training with high intensity, you're taking 2 sets till failure with a moderate weight, where you're controlling the form throughout the entire movement, but you don't have your eating and resting dialed in, then how can you perform at that same intensity for your next training session ahead? You can't. It's going to be hard. you'll feel like shit as well. So make an effort to get all these two other sides of fitness dialed in as well, because it's just as important. And be consistent with them. So final point is just to make sure you train each muscle group twice per week. Push pull legs, upper lower body splits, full body splits. They're all excellent options to hit muscle groups twice per week. So that way you get really the best bang for your buck on a week to week basis of your training sessions. As far as rest time goes, rest for 3 minutes after each set. This just goes back to what I was saying with rest and recovery. Like if we're not getting enough rest and recovery, then how can we hit our next training session just as hard as we did, the current one? So the same principle applies with rest times in between sets. If you are going super hard on set number one and then you only rest for like 60 seconds on before set number two, and you go into set number two, you're not gonna do as many reps as you did the first set, or go as hard as you did the first set on your second set. So that's why we need to rest as much time as you can. Ideally, 3 minutes is a sweet spot where your body is, you know, back to its, normal rest and heart rate. Your muscles don't feel as cooked. You'll feel a little bit of something, but they won't feel as cooked. So that way you're ready to, hit it hard again. Ensure you're controlling the movement all the way through. Have a 3 to 4 second count on the eccentric, so the way down of the exercise. Have a slight 1 to 2 second pause at the stretch portion of the exercise, so the bottom portion. So for example, if we were to take a bicep curl, and we're all the way at the stretch portion, so the bottom portion, that is the stretch portion of the exercise, and you just want to hold that for 1 to 2 seconds. And then make sure to explode on the way up of the concentric part of the movement to finish things off. As far as warm-ups goes, I really just recommend doing 1 to 2 sets of 4 reps with a light weight of the exercise you're about to perform with good form. And that's really all you need. Um, you don't need like these crazy stretches or anything like that, in my opinion, at least. If you want to do them, go ahead and do them. But what's worked best for me and what I feel like will work best for some people out there is that they just did 1 to 2 sets of just a super lightweight for 4 reps, controlling the movement, being mindful of your movement, your form, before they go into their working sets. And then as far as rest and recovery goes, this is actually quite simple. Getting sleep is where the muscle growth happens, so you need to make sure you're getting 7 hours or more worth of sleep. You also need to recharge your batteries, especially if you are training super hard, so training till failure. If you do suffer from, some sort of medical condition where you can't sleep that well, then go seek advice from your medical professional, because they'll be best able to help you out and support you through what you may be going through, right? Trying to figure out what's going on. If you're just someone who has, who just kind of keeps tossing and turning, um, who doesn't have like any sort of health ailments that prevents them from sleeping, you're just someone who maybe is a night owl, or someone who just like scrolls on their phone all night, right? That sort of stuff, because maybe you're not tired, then I would look into getting some sleeping supplements. That way it can help you out for sure. Melatonin is a good one. Sleepy Time Tea is another good one. They also have like different bath salts as well, so that way you can take a bath and you just feel relaxed and all mellowed out. And as far as action steps, so let me give you guys some action steps here. So the very first thing is just make sure to measure your current weight, jot it down, and set a goal weight for yourself. So it's important to have a goal weight just because you know what you're shooting for, and plus you know how long your bulking phase should last. Ideally, you want to be gaining 0.5 to 1 pound of muscle or of weight in general, because you're not just going to gain 1 pound of muscle, right? That's unrealistic. You're going to gain muscle, but it's going to be a combination of not only just muscle, but water weight and fat as well. So ideally, it's wise to shoot for 0.5 to 1 pound um, worth of gain weight per week. 2 pounds is kind of cutting it or stretching it. Anything more than 2 pounds is just going to cause you to gain unnecessary fat that you don't need. So ideally between 0.5 to 1 pound per week. So that means that a good bulking phase will last for 16 weeks if you're looking to gain anywhere between 15 to 16 pounds of weight. So if you're able to go longer though, go ahead, feel free to do it. But I know that most people can only go about 4 months, maybe 6 months at a time for a bulking phase before they feel like they need to shift gears. Number two is calculate your maintenance calories. Like I mentioned before, go to Google, type in macro calculator and input your information so that way it spits out your maintenance calories, and then add 300 to 500 calories to that. And please remember, weigh yourself at least once per week because you will plateau eventually in weight and you need to know when you plateau So that way you can add, 300 to 500 additional more calories to what you're already eating. Make sure you download MyFitnessPal too, so that way you can track your eating. Either find, make, or buy a workout program that fits your lifestyle, that fits, how much time you're able to dedicate inside of the gym per week. Train with intensity, make sleep a priority, and make sure to subscribe to my channel. That does cover it for the video for today, though, guys. Please take care. If there's something that you all want to see in terms of a specific video idea, leave it down below in the comments. And once more, if you are someone looking for one-to-one coaching, check that out in the description below. But other than that, take care. Much love to you all, and until the next one, peace.